Hey everyone, this week I'm focusing on what's happening with retail real estate. And despite the various economic headwinds, including elevated gas prices, inflation risk, tariffs, and low consumer sentiment, retail sales have continued to beat expectations. In fact, on a headline basis, annual retail sales growth has been exceptionally strong, with June registering 6.7% growth compared to last year. Even on an inflation-adjusted basis, retail sales were up 3.5%. If you drop autos and gas from the mix, core retail sales are still up by 5.7% and by 2.5% on an inflation-adjusted basis. All things considered, those are strong results. The strongest retail subsectors in the first half of the year include e-commerce, sporting goods, and electronics. The subsectors with the weakest growth include health and personal care, food and beverage, and building and gardening materials. On a side note, although it's not broken out in the retail sales report, spending on fitness, including club memberships and sports centers, an emerging mainstay of retail space demand, is at a record high with growth of 4.3% last year. So overall, retail space demand remains healthy. While space absorption of both single and multi-tenant retail space was negative in the first quarter, the sector has regained momentum, delivering modestly positive space demand in the second quarter. The space filled roughly aligned with the limited volume of new completions, so both multi-tenant and single-tenant vacancy rates remain stable. The multi-tenant vacancy rate came in at 5.8%, but digging under the surface a bit, shopping malls pushed the rate higher. They have a 9% vacancy. Meanwhile, lifestyle centers, grocery-anchored and unanchored strip centers have all settled into the 4.9% vacancy range. The single-tenant vacancy rate remains stable at 4.6%. When you blend all of the retail property types together, the overall vacancy rate was 4.9% in the second quarter. That's supporting a modest strengthening of rent growth, with average multi-tenant rent gains reaching 2.2%. The top performing rent growth metros include Phoenix, Minneapolis, Nashville, Raleigh, and Orange County. Now, from an investment standpoint, retail continues to be one of the most active property types. On a trailing 12 months through the second quarter, the total number of retail property transactions were up substantively, about on par with 2022, the most active year on record. Multi-tenant retail transactions over the last 12 months were just 4% below the peak activity of 2022, while the single-tenant transaction velocity was at a record high over the last 12 months. Single-tenant cap rates have stabilized in the 6.6% range, but vary substantively by lease term. The average cap rate for properties with 5 years or less remaining on the lease is 7.4%. For 5 to 15 years, the average is 6.7%, and for properties with at least 15 years on their lease, the average cap rate is 5.9%. For multi-tenant retail, the average cap rate is 7.3%. Looking forward, the retail investment climate remains positive. The limited pace of development, together with healthy retail sales and space demand, suggest fundamentals will remain solid. Single-tenant retail properties will likely remain a favored defensive investment opportunity. They're also preferred as a partial exit strategy for aging baby boom real estate investors seeking reduced management. Multi-tenant retail assets also remain a cornerstone investment as they continue to deliver healthy fundamentals and durable returns. Of course, the risk of elevated inflation and higher lending rates could weigh on investor engagement, but these will likely be short-term challenges. Despite the potential headwinds, long-term momentum will be fueled by millennials entering their prime spending years and by the continuing transition of retail space into service-centric businesses catering to entertainment, fitness, and experiences. And those long-term drivers are key for investors who keep their eyes on the horizon.